getting started, so we'll just get started, and as Kat said, she'll keep admitting people as I speak through, and we can also keep in touch on the chat box as well. So yeah, let's get started. Maybe next slide, Kat.
Just testing that the next slide buttons worked okay for everyone there.
Hopefully everyone can see this. So welcome and thanks for joining today. Myself and Kat are running the CARES funding and support session. So you've got me, Gemma Murray. I'm the Development Officer for Ayrshire and South West. And Katrina is the Development Officer for North Highlands, Western Isles and Skye. Oh, next slide, please, Kat. So a little bit of background to CARES. I'm sure a few of you have heard this already before today, so apologies on that. We're Local Energy Scotland and we deliver the Scottish Government CARES scheme, that's Community and Renewable Energy Scheme. And we operate as a consortium, so the members are Changeworks, Energy Agency, Energy Saving Trust and SCARF. The team's based across all these different organisations around different locations in Scotland. So, for example, I'm at the Energy Agency in the Ayr office, but working from home at the moment. Next slide, Kat. So the main goal of CARES is to have communities across Scotland engaging, participating and benefiting in the energy transition to net zero. We've got a few main focus areas, so local energy systems, maximising impact from community benefits, looking at shared ownership projects, both of these are with local wind farms, and the aim of this is to contribute to Scotland's 2 gigawatt target by 2030. Next slide, please. So Local Energy Scotland and the team, we provide free and impartial advice and support and signposting, also funding for mainly community groups, but also rural businesses, social enterprises and other stakeholders with the aim of bringing local energy projects to life. Next slide, please, Kat. So we do this through a variety of different tools and resources. We offer grants and loans, impartial and free advice and support, and the main resource is our team. So we have a network of 6 development officers across Scotland. We then have the energy systems team for specialist support and the fund administration team as well. We've got a number of resources. We've got CARES toolkits, which are available on our website, framework of suppliers to help with procurement and identifying professionals to help deliver projects, a large number of case studies to give examples of what's happened before, and also the Scottish Government's good practice principles for onshore and offshore community benefit and shared ownership wind projects. All of these are available on the website. The best way to get access to them is to speak to your development officer and find out where the most relevant piece of information will be. They can give you links and a bit more advice and discussion around those. And in terms of funding, we offer a mixture of grants and loans, as well as access to technical advice. We also have a number of social media streams on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. Myself and Kat actually administrate the community CARES Facebook group, which is there for a bit of shared learning and extra support. Next slide, please, Kat.
Yep, we're just coming on for signposting, Gemma.
Great. So a good example of signposting, which we do fairly often, is working in partnership with the Scottish Government's Zero Waste Scotland Energy Efficiency Business Support Scheme. So what they can do is deliver a free energy audit service. Basically, this can identify suitable measures for your community-owned or leased building. And it can identify estimated costs and payback periods. It's quite high level, but it's a really good starting point for your community building project to identify what you might want to do, and then you can get in touch with us to find out more information. Next slide, please, Kat. So again, going back to care support, the main benefit of CARES and the Local Energy Scotland team is that we're there from the start to the end of your project to help with project conception, developing project ideas, looking through feasibility stage, taking you through development all the way to completion. I think I've already gone over the different tools and resources that we use to deliver that support service. Again, if you have a look on our website, it's all available there. Next slide, please, Kat. So we were recently awarded the CARES fund, the CARES contract for the next 4 years, and within that we've been doing quite a lot of mobilisation work, and we're really looking to work towards developing a flexible package of funding that's responsive to the needs of the projects and where projects are on their way to delivery. So we did quite a lot of stakeholder engagement and interviews and research as part of that mobilisation process. And one of the outcomes of that has been the recent Net Zero Community Buildings Fund that we've been focusing on, allowing development and capital costs towards community building renewable energy projects. So in general, we can provide development funding. So typically this can be money for things like planning permission, building warrant, grid connection, and some design works, and also capital funding towards the cost of equipment and measures. And just to give a brief idea of the current funding round, which does close tomorrow, the grant intervention levels have been 30% for energy efficiency measures, 75% for renewable heat measures, and 60% for solar PV and battery storage. And 100% development costs, I should add. Thanks, Kat. Next slide, please. As well as those, we have our CARES Enablement Grant. It's open all year round on a rolling basis. There's no deadlines for that. You can contact your development officer for support before making an application, and we're here to take you through the application stages as well. They're good for small projects and early stages of work. For example, with the Zero Waste Scotland energy audit that I mentioned earlier, you might have completed that and you're still not entirely sure what you want to take forward or how you want to design a renewable system that's suitable for your building. We can take forward an application for an enablement grant for an options appraisal project. I think the next slide looks at a case study for an options appraisal. Yeah. So there's an example here from Aberlady Community Association. So they applied for CARES funding after they'd had their Zero Waste Scotland energy audit. And they wanted to identify a low carbon alternative to their village hall's existing gas powered heating system. So we helped them with procurement and support to find a professional consultant to deliver an options appraisal report. And through the research and studies involved in that, the appraisal recommended and identified an air-to-air air source heat pump system. And they also looked at roof level insulation and fan-driven heaters, which would be located at intermediate height to improve the building's energy efficiency. So as a result of that, the project was kind of taken to a procurement ready stage. They had the designs and systems they wanted to go ahead and procure for a capital stage, and they knew what development works would be required to deliver that as well. Thanks, Kat. Next slide, please. So in terms of capital funding, it's been quite recent, the last 2 years we've been able to offer that with the closure of government subsidies such as the feed-in tariff. So we had one at the end of last summer and our current one that's closing tomorrow as well. Previously, the funds could be applied for up to 60% of capital costs. That was last funding round. This funding round, as I said, there is different intervention levels for different measures. You can always visit our website for current information on funds. We've got lots of guidance and tools available there. And you can also sign up to our newsletter to find out more and to always be kept in touch around new funding rounds being announced. Next slide, please, Kat. So in terms of the last funding round for capital works and this funding round as well, these focus predominantly on community buildings with an idea of getting projects that know what they want to do to go ahead and install now, and also to build a pipeline for future projects. And that's why we look at capital as well as development works. And just some typical projects that have gone ahead. For example, in the top right picture there, looking at solar PV on a community building, looking to match use and generation with the demand of the building needs. Typically, some projects look at energy storage as well through batteries. It's also potential to look at heat and transport, heat pumps and biomass, heat storage and distribution, and vehicle charging points. Next slide, please, Kat. So we're going to go through a few case studies here. I'll go over Duddingston and then I'll hand over to Kat. So Duddingston Primary School is a great example of a solar PV project. It was supported by the SPEN Green Economy Fund, and we worked with Friends of Duddingston Primary School to secure funding through SPEN, and we also gave quite significant development support towards this. So it's a community group, a kind of parents association, a charity associated with the school that installed the solar panels on their local school, so they provide a direct electricity supply to the building. And any benefits from that are put back into the school to improve things for pupils. So I think they have an inclusion fund, and it's used to help all school kids go on school trips. They had to fundraise to match fund this project. So they did that through significant community engagement, lots of fundraising and events. They had a lot driven by what they called mini Gretas from P6. So there was a lot of people involvement in that as well, which was great. And the project has a huge amount of benefit for education and learning cited on the school, and it's really raised awareness in the local community and with all the local pupils as well. So with that, I'll pass over to Kat and I will start to man the chat.
Thank you for that, Gemma, raising the bar for me to lower it. No, that was grand. Keeping in the theme of case studies, I'm going to chat on the Loch Ness Hub for a wee moment here. Keen-eyed amongst you might have noticed this in our video to start off the CARES conference. We had some lovely drone footage in the area around Drumnadrochit and the Great Glen for the projects in that area. So it's actually based in quite a topical area for renewables in general. So this project involved the Glenurquhart Rural Community Association, GURCA, as well, with their community takeover of the Tourist Information Building. So this was part of a much larger business case of getting a usable asset for a sustainable use for the community for future years, for future generations, focusing more on the technology journey of it though. We had the energy report by Zero Waste Scotland, as Gemma mentioned at the start, that signpost for additional support for community buildings, and that really highlighted ways to improve the energy efficiency as well as reducing carbon footprint. And the project's three main objectives were to install solar PV on the roof, which we can see in the photo, so giving it away already. They did manage that. They're looking to offset grid imported electricity to the building, so reducing the building's operational costs. Looking to install insulation as well, to improve the overall energy efficiency, so the building fabric. That's often quite important when you're looking at such a renewable heating technology as an air source heat pump, which was their third objective. And alongside the energy efficiency of the insulation, we also had an improvement to the LED lighting as well. So overall, reduction of energy use and reduction of carbon footprint. With the care support that they received at our last funding call, last financial year, we were able to support with the 5.2 kilowatt solar PV install and the 7 kilowatt air source heat pump to provide heating. And this case study in more detail is available on our website as well, but I think we can all agree it looked pretty amazing from the video with the drone footage. So the community have done a very impressive job at getting the engagement, getting the drive and enthusiasm behind this, and hopefully they'll have lots of success with the years to come. I'm in control of my own slides here, so I will forward it on. Sorry for the awkward pause there. Forgot what I had to do there. So from solar and sunshine to rain, but useful rain. So this is a light touch here on Broom Power Hydro. So this is up in the northwest. This is a project that was a 100 kilowatt run-of-river hydroelectric scheme just south of Ullapool. So you might have even driven past it and not even noticed. It's Loch Broom Community Renewables' first project and was initiated because of a strong local support for community-owned renewable energy schemes. Support from CARES was used to help fund the project feasibility and development stages through a grant and a pre-planning loan. Broom Power themselves reached their £900,000 target of a community share offer in 2016. And that had 54% of investors coming from the local area. So amazing appetite for community-owned infrastructure and renewable energy there, and certainly something that we've seen, I would say, a lot more frequently nowadays. The Broom Power Community Hydro officially began generating electricity in November 2017, and hopefully they have a lovely wet autumn so that they can keep on doing that with all their good work. And you see these things sometimes come in threes, and indeed this is our third final case study that I'll talk through. This is going from rain to wind here. So this is a very good photo of the US wind project. And yes, indeed large for this project. The community-owned US wind farm on North Uist achieved a significant milestone in September, just last year, as it generated enough electricity to power every single home on the island of North Uist. So that's, yeah, pretty significant, definitely going large. The two 900 kilowatt wind turbines, they generated over 6 megawatt hours of electricity between commissioning on, it was 13th of September 2019 and 8th of September this year being 2020. So it's a remarkable feat, and it's just the latest accomplishment for the project that overcame significant challenges on its way to becoming a success story. And it is an inspiration to other rural island community energy projects as well. The US wind project, it was conceived as far back as 2010, but it needed to overcome considerable financing and development hurdles before finally being commissioned in September 2019. A major part of this was, again, a community share offer. And this one raised over £450,000 from more than 220 investors. And that allowed the project to proceed and provides a great example of community empowerment. Now the island community can benefit from green electricity, which offsets enough of its power for all of its homes. It can also benefit from the income from the electricity generated. Meanwhile, that will be invested in local community projects, creating opportunities to help combat depopulation. And so this project was supported with a mixture of CARES grants and loans as well. So again, yeah, that picture's almost sums it all up, but there's a lot of hard work behind that to get to that point. So incredibly inspirational project as well. So moving on from the case studies, we want to make it easier to deliver change. And as Gemma has noted, we've been doing a lot of work with the new CARES programme, stakeholder engagement and survey and feedback. And here's just sharing some of our improvements we're making and developing on. So we've developed a framework of project managers because we want to look at lessening the burden on the applicant in their procurement journey. We're looking at making supply chain and procurement easier for community applications. So we're looking at technical, legal, project management, something for shared ownership as well. And the idea is that the applicant can appoint already procured consultants. Kind of going into a bit more detail, yeah, on this slide, the idea is that it's to help develop projects a lot more quicker. And in the next couple of months, we will have that established framework. And taking the example, if you need a feasibility study for a project, rather than applying for a grant, then having to select a contractor, managing them, we will work with you as an applicant to provide a consultant who will then complete the feasibility work you need. So we're showing that we're taking on feedback from people and trying to look at supporting this journey for the applicant as well. And yeah, what might be some of the tips for a successful application in the first case? Myself and Gemma did spend a bit of time scratching our heads around this, just trying to think. We haven't got that much time in the webinar. I mean, I'm taking up all the time with my rambling, but we thought we'd narrow it down to a few things, and we don't want to overstate this too much, but like honestly, speaking to your local Energy Scotland development officer at an early stage is one way that they can help. First of all, check you're doing the right application for what it is you're trying to do. We are there to give early stage advice or help with understanding or queries. And the earlier we can know about an application coming in, the earlier we can engage our support rather than an application turning up on our desk cold. So that would be our number one. We've added a few other ones here. We've mentioned our website quite a bit and the toolkits. But in particular, when it comes to funding for applications, we do add tips and guidance within that. And for example, this particular fund that we're in at the moment, the one that closes tomorrow, we did very specialised guidance and tips just for that particular application style. So we are digitising, if you like, more of that advice. One of the other bits of feedback was webinars talking through an application or even just talking over an example application. And for people that had the joy of listening to me talk in a monotone a couple of weeks ago, we gave that webinar on our application example, and we are finding a lot of people found that helped answer a lot of questions or generic questions that had coming up. So again, listening to the feedback from yourselves. We've mentioned our CARES Facebook group, and that is really a resource for yourselves. We have got Local Energy Scotland moderators on there that can help out, but peer-to-peer learning is so much more tailored and more valuable than anything else. So we would definitely encourage people to share or connect on that platform as well. And then, yeah, lastly, submitting early draft applications. There's technically no limit for how many draft applications, I guess, you ever want to submit. Maybe it's just a limit of the inbox volume. But yeah, early draft applications are a great way of you and your development officer having that dialogue with your project and understanding what you're looking from, and us understanding how our funding and support helps deliver that as well. So yeah, and that would be our sort of top tips for successful application. Let's move on to sort of my second last slide here, is just our current priorities. So at the moment, we're focusing on assessing the applications for the community building funding round at the moment and helping these mobilise, get going off the ground. We are keen to hear ideas from communities, so do contact us with these, and hopefully this conference has got the little grey cells producing and got ideas buzzing. I know I'll need to sit and digest through a bit as well. Please do let us know if you have ideas and or looking for support taking those forward. We'd be happy to support on that. And our other priority is we're looking to develop new models and calls to try and make it easier to develop projects we think will work and where we can provide a package of support as well. And with that, I will come to my final ramble slide for talking. So this is coming on to this discussion. You just have to bear the awkward silence as I try to minimize myself here a second. And I think we can head over to Gemma to see what we've had coming in from the chat for any questions.
Yeah, of course, Kat. So we just Should we stop recording actually?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I haven't wrote it on my hand here to stop recording, and I haven't done it yet. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, or actually, do you mind if I flick through to the last slide because it's got our contact details for the recording? Just for the recording, contact details all here, www.localenergy.scot. And I will stop the recording and then stop presenting.
Brilliant, thanks Kat.